This is Tanya Leek, and I am here with Ron Berry, class of
1994.
94, that's right. And Ron is actually a good friend of mine. I always forget what year he graduated. We're here celebrating Me Week in our special segment, Close to Home.
Ooh, that's close.
So Ron and I are going to try to keep this, we'll keep it light just so that people are entertained. But we also have some really important information. As it relates to Me Week, I was actually remembering this as Ron and I were starting the call. Ron was actually the first person to come to my side when Magnus passed away. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yes, he came to it was quite a time, and Ron was the first person in town in Atlanta. So this is my opportunity to say thank you, Ron. You were my MVP, and so now this is your opportunity to be everybody's MVP.
Slow clap.
Here we go. So, Ron, because Me Week is about wellness and readiness, I think you had an experience where all of those kind of came together. Yes. So do you want to tell us kind of briefly what did happen for those people who don't know you and don't know what happened?
Yeah, so those people who do know me know I love to travel, been around the world. So literally, it's starting going back to last fall, November 10th to be exact, November 10th, 2017. I was going to my apartment office and I was talking with them, and next thing you know, I fell over the desk and just collapsed, and then suddenly had a ringing in my head. And literally waking up several months later, I wake in a hospital bed surrounded by my family.
Yeah. And well, it was wonderful that your family was able to get there. And tell us about how that happened. So given that you were, as we like to say in the stage field, incapacitated, what were some of the things that you had in place that allowed that to happen?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing that we discount quite a bit, and we have to I had a strong family that was right there and had a very strong friend network. And so, interestingly enough, James Jordan, a mutual friend of mine, found out my situation. I was in the hospital because I had literally just moved to Oakland, and notified my parents. They flew out the next, really at that moment, and they're on the East Coast. They flew out there to see me, and this is how bad it was. I hadn't moved into my apartment yet, and so everything's in flux. And next thing you know, I'm basically in a hospital bed. And so once they got out there, that's when everybody struck and got into action.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, this is one of the reasons why James is also, for those who don't know James Jordan, first of all, you should be ashamed. Second of all, that he's a part of the Stanford Black community family, and one of our Stanford alumni connections. And our community is really so rich with resources, not just, for making the call. So please make sure that, for your Stanford community and your blood community, making sure that they're connected. I think that's important.
Absolutely.
So that family that we have, make sure you continue to sort of cultivate that because it is important. So now looking back on that situation, what would you say were your major lessons learned, something you might give advice to someone today in order to kind of get around?
Yeah, I think the biggest lesson I took away from, because again, I thought of myself as relatively healthy, and people who knew me, knew I was very active sports-wise, worked out quite a bit. Anytime you hear any little warning sign from your doctor, which I heard March earlier that year, take it very seriously, get a second opinion, and follow up on it as much as you can. And if anything else, talk to your peers, other doctors, other people that you know, particularly in the Stanford community.
Now, you were talking about the specific condition that you kind of weren't aware of the implications of it. Do you want to talk about the?
Sure. So I was diagnosed with atrial fibrillation, and so that's actually one of the leading indicators for a stroke, which I did not know. And so I was diagnosed in March. Doctor said, "Hey, this is going on." It was very and I took it, but I didn't take it as seriously. As if someone said, "Hey, look, you got cancer or something like that. You want to treat that right away." And so from that standpoint, I just kind of played it off until, of course, November. And now I'm very diligent. And the people who know me, I had to cut back on coffee, for example, drinking decaf, which is horrible. But anyway, that's basically, you have to just reassess everything in your life across the board. So that's what I ended up doing.
Now, tell us a little bit about, so why do you think you didn't take it as seriously? Was it because you didn't sort of understand the implications, or because you thought you were pretty healthy, so really didn't feel anything?
Well, Tony, we talked about this. I'm Ron Berry. I'm invincible. So, no, but I did not take it seriously enough, because you get diagnosed, and once you hit that critical age, everything like happens after 40, you really have to like treat it very seriously. And in my family, I did not know, like, we had like overall, I would say a genetic heart, defect. So my sister last year had a serious issue, and so every little thing adds up that we discount across the board. So you start looking at your life holistically and saying to yourself, like, I keep back to the doctor every time, like, how did I miss this? Because usually I'm very diligent once they give me a diagnosis about, or they say, hey, this thing's going on with you. Usually I'm very like active about following up. And this time around, I just did not follow up.
Yeah. Well, I think awareness is one of those things. So, especially if you get something that you don't understand. I mean, again, our network has plenty of doctors. And then to your point, the family history stuff is so critical to being able to identify, things that might come up for you. So you were talking about your coffee. And I know you and I have talked about this many times, because this is one of my favorite things to talk about. So you were also talking about the implications of nutrition that you have been doing research since then, in terms of Black folks specifically. So do you want to mention a little something about that?
Sure. I mean, in short, the biggest thing for all of us is we basically have to dropped our weight down, because I see a lot of us, I see at the summits, we basically have to really take our weight very seriously, because that is a further exacerbates these effects with heart disease, cancer, diabetes, all this stuff. Weight really adds up quite a bit. The other thing I also look at as well is we are eating the wrong foods. And so one of the things that I've talked to Tanya about is I really do believe, like, we really need to go back to our roots. We're looking at, Africa, what do they do in their diets? And how do we need to consider, really start consuming that? Because we're really not made for a lot of diets we're eating now in the U.S. And so across the board. So that's how I looked at that as well. So one of the things I actually started doing is, of course, talking to Tanya, I've been reading. And actually, at the end of the month of July, I have an appointment with a Black nutritionist in Oakland.
Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to get too excited about that.
Well, because there's no nutritionist in our Stanford community that I'm aware of.
Well, there are people who can help you with your nutrition as a health coach, but we won't talk about that right now.
Yeah, but I'm not eating gravel.
You know what? Okay, so let's start to wrap this up, because I think I'm getting a little daffy. So were there particular, on the readiness side, because that's a lot around the wellness side, and I will actually post, there is a pyramid that has been developed specifically for those of African heritage, and it does talk about things that are uniquely beneficial to us in terms of our health. So I will definitely post that on our different forums. The last two questions for you is, were there particular documents or your healthcare directive and things like that we're really pushing people to do that you think made your situation easier?
Yeah, so before I answer that question, I think the other thing people need to research is right after the Great Depression, what also happened is they also altered the food pyramid. They kind of guiding us what we should eat. And so that's really because meat was so scarce, they asked us to eat a lot of breads and carbs across the board. So that was one of the other big challenges as well. But the big thing as well, I also provide as recommended advice, is for people like complete all your economic documents. I know Susan Orman has a set of documents. I actually talked to Tanya about this very thing afterwards, and we actually talked, what was it, 2017?
Yeah.
Right after Magnus, about getting those documents in order. And so I did that, and basically take the evening, get it done with, make it a priority, so that the last thing you have to worry about is making sure like all your financial items are in order for your family and your loved ones. And so I did that finally and got that all squared away. Let my mom, anytime I go into surgery, I let her know she's got a scanned copy of my signatures have been notarized. I also let her know where it is in my office, like in my file cabinet, all the documents. So just take care of that and make that a priority across the board.
Yay. So this goes to, I think, the power of, again, our network and what can happen if we share with one another our lessons learned, because that was one of my lessons learned early on. So the last thing, what's your sort of last statement about, given your experience, what would you recommend that other people, maybe something very specific, real quick, so they can have like a one tiny baby step to take? Stop doing, one thing to continue doing, and one thing to start doing just in case, from a wellness readiness perspective.
Sure, of course. Start listening to Tanya. That's my Oprah right there. But the stop doing is really reassess, and it's not really so much stop. It's just stop being. You have to be active. You can't be sedentary, and really reassess your diet across the board. And really, as I say, at this age, you're never too early. Get your affairs in order. And so if you're very young, the only thing I can tell you is you think you're going to make money forever. And unfortunately, like what you also need to start doing now, like really as soon as you start getting school, put a budget in place and really just start saving your money. Because you want to get to that point in time where emergencies like this happen, like you're ready to go. A lot of people don't have to worry about you. It's a big deal because you think you can live forever. You think you're going to make money forever. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen. And surprises happen across the board. Just make sure you're prepared. And doing it now, starting now, is the best bet.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. This was our segment, Close to Home.
I can go check that box.
Thanks to Ron, 1994 Sexiest Man Alive, Stanford University.
I'm Sonny Ebony Man. Copies later.
Give us a pose, Ron. Yes. All right. Much love to everybody. Me Week 19. Thanks,
Thank
Ron.
you.
All right.
Thank
bye.
you.